Well, good morning. Granny Gear here for Old Guy on a Bike. You ever heard of a company called ABUS? Well, if you have, you're probably thinking bicycle locks, and you are not wrong because they do make a whole passel of bike locks. However, that's not what we're talking about today because ABUS also makes helmets. Now, I've been trying a couple of them, and I was surprised by how much I like them. All right, more on that as I sit on my front porch with a lovely cup of coffee. I think it's about gone. I may have to get a refill on one of the last cool mornings of this year. All right, summer's coming. Let's talk helmets and ABUS. ABUS, the bike lock people. Well, like this little lock right here that I was given at a recent press thing. And I thought, well, it's a handy little thing. You know, you could, at coffee, you want to add a little bit of security to your bike. Something like that is just a really nice little thing to have. And we just keep this in the car for those little quick occasions. But you know, sometimes at those press things, you're given things like that lock. And that's pretty cool. And sometimes you end up with stuff you think, I don't really know if I want to use that in particular. I certainly wouldn't buy it for myself. And that was the case when I got a helmet from ABUS. This helmet right here. This is the Gamechanger 2.0. Now you can see it cuts a rather dramatic profile, does it not? Kind of reminds me of the Specialized Evade, and in that line of aero-focused helmets for the Peloton, for you hard-charging roadies out there. But you know what? It's not what I would buy for myself. And when I had a choice to pick one, I said, well, sure, you know, I'll take it, you know, we'll give it a try. And I've been very surprised because I've been using it for all my road rides ever since I got it back around Sea Otter in the spring. I really like it. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about this and a couple other helmets because I want to show you the ABUS line, and they have really quite a few helmets to offer. And they aren't all as fancy schmancy as this one. All right, here we go. Now this is kind of typical of the helmet I would buy and wear. This is a Specialized helmet. This is the Propero, not an expensive helmet particularly. I also had a Prevail, a little bit more expensive, but still. I found that Specialized helmets fit my head very well. Why is that? Well, I think my head is kind of oval, kind of egg-shaped, and I found that Specialized helmets really work well for me. Like I'd tried some Bot Rager helmets. Great helmets, no complaints there, except they were more round and they put pressure on my head in places really wasn't very good. So I kind of have always gone to Specialized. But you know what? I never buy the S-Works and I never ever buy the fancy schmancy Aero helmets. Why? Well, because several reasons. First of all, the Aero helmets are usually heavier. The second is they can be hot, okay? They're designed to be wearing, you know, move fast through the air, but if you're moving slow on a long climb, Southern California gets hot here, and I don't climb all that fast. Aero is really not where I would put my money, and that's the third thing, money. Those fancy Aero helmets, they're expensive. But how was it to ride? Well, I'll tell you in a minute, but first I want to show you a couple other helmets, one I've been using and one I will be using, because I want to show you a little bit of the breadth of the ABUS helmet line and not just focus on a fancy Aero helmet that you might not even want to buy. Because quite frankly, what most people want is a relatively simple, relatively light, not terribly expensive helmet that's just going to do the daily job of protecting their head. Something like this ABUS Storm Chaser. Isn't this cool? I don't know if you can see this in the camera. You can see it changing color. It goes from purple to green to blue. It's really very nice looking helmet, I think. And it kind of reminds me of that, the Beetle shell, you know. Made in Italy, by the way. Helmets are made in Italy. Nicely vented, not too heavy, not too expensive. Seems to vary between $105 to $135, depending upon where you catch it on sale. ABUS says 255 grams. I weighed this size medium at 240 grams. This is not a MIPS helmet, however, it certainly passes all the safety things. Now, if you've seen me lately riding my gravel bike, you'll notice that this has become my gravel bike helmet. It's been a great fit. It's just a good, simple, quality helmet for not a whole lot of money. And I think it's probably going to stay in my gear bag for my gravel bike. This is the Momentor 2.0. This is a MIPS helmet. Now I asked ABUS for a sample of this. I haven't gotten a chance to use it yet, but I saw it in the catalog. This is obviously more of a mountain bike-ish kind of helmet. You got the little small visor. You got extra coverage in the back for this part of your head here, in case you're crashing in rough areas like you might do on a mountain bike. But I thought this would be a nice helmet to use for bike packing. Now I could use this on the gravel bike if I was going to do something really adventurous. But honestly, I think for the bike packing bike, I'm moving slower. I don't want to have a visor on a road helmet. And I thought this would really do a nice job. It's simple. It's pretty much a straightforward helmet. Now it has their Quinn system on it. Now their Quinn system is one of those fall detection systems. So if you take a crash, it'll alert people, etc. This is an option, but this helmet is capable of adding that to it. Now, I don't know, it reminds me of Specialized's Angie system, and there may be others out there. Feedback from a friend who had some Angies, he never could get them to work. When he did crash, they didn't tell anybody, and when he didn't crash, they'd try and tell people. He really never could get that to work, so I don't know, and I don't want that to reflect badly on ABUS. I have no idea how their Quinn system works, but this helmet is ready for it if you think that interests you. Prices on the internet are all over the place for this, from $110 to $180, so shop around. ABUS says 330 grams. I don't know what size helmet that is, but this size medium, 366 grams. All right, back to this fancy helmet right here. Now, if you've seen me in any videos lately on the road bike, this is what I've been wearing. I've been wearing it ever since I got it at Sea Otter. And like I said, this is the MIPS version. So you can see it has a little MIPS sticker on it. It has the MIPS, what do they call it? The air node. So it's not the yellow slidey plastic thing. It's more like little buttons in here. Interesting, I didn't know they had that, but that's what this is. This also has the Fidlock magnetic buckle. Now you can see the clasp, right, is closed. In order to open it, that's all I've got to do. I just slide it sideways, and to close it, magnetically snaps together. So you're not going to pinch your skin like sometimes you do with a helmet. Anyway, kind of fancy schmancy, but it works. But how has it been like to ride? First of all, would it be too hot? Well, I got this in the spring, and it was pretty cool for a long time. But I'll tell you what, you could feel the air moving through this thing. I'll tell you, when it's cold out, it is moving some air. If you're moving down the road at least 15 miles an hour, there is some air moving through this helmet. But the other day, I got onto a pretty hot ride. It was a 100-mile ride. We had about a half-hour climb at 90 degrees, and we weren't moving very fast. I'm moving, I don't know, 5-7 miles an hour. I never felt like I was overheating in this helmet. It did a really good job of keeping me feel like I'm getting crushed by the heat. Now, I was hot, of course, because it was just hot everywhere, but I didn't feel this was killing me. And once I started moving again, I could feel the air moving through this helmet, moving that through the sweat on my head and cooling me back down. Pretty impressive, really. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you'll always see me wearing some kind of a head wrap, a buff, either a full buff doubled for the winter, or maybe worn pirate style if I'm, want to keep the back of my neck covered, or I'll wear the little half buffs like this if it's summer. So I always have something on under my helmet. So that might make me hotter sometimes, but also keeps me warmer, keeps my ears covered, and keeps the top of my head covered too for any sun coming through my helmet. As well, I've found that it soaks up the sweat really well and distributes it, and then when the air moves, that cools me down really nicely. But so far, I don't think this is too hot to use in Southern California, at least for me, on the road. All right, my coffee cup's about empty and I'm just about out of words. Hey, thanks to ABUS for providing those helmet samples for me to use and to tell you about them. They did that at no charge and no cost, with no obligations on my part to say nice things about them. But I've enjoyed using them. They fit me well because of the shape of my head. That worked out. Now, the Gamechanger. Has that been a Gamechanger 2.0 for me? Is this old guy faster moving through the air than he was? I guess I could be, but here's the deal. If you're shopping for a helmet and you do care about speed, well, your head is sticking up into the air, and if you can make it a little bit faster, if I can keep a couple watts in my pocket for when I need it, well, that's not a terrible thing, is it? Was it a game changer? No. However, it wasn't bad either. All right, you guys have a great week and or weekend, and as always, you go ride your bikes. Oh, wear a helmet.